And hello, everyone. Welcome to the WARPBRG Confusion Entertainment Review. It's time for episode number 54. It's been a little bit since we've recorded, but as always, I'm joined by my co host, Patrick, aka Mr. Fusion.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Greetings and salutations, Warburg. How are we doing, man? It's
Doing
been a few weeks,
It
right?
has been a few weeks. I meant to do a House of the Dragon finale podcast, but time got away from me.
Yeah.
Much like today, which is why we were a little late getting started, because guess who forgot to do his open enrollment? This guy.
Oh,
But thankfully, I did a remote login to the banker's insurance website and just did it there. So hopefully, I got it under the wire because that'd be great.
wait. Today was the final day of your open enrollment.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was about to
Yeah.
say, it's like if it's day one, you have plenty of time.
Yeah.
But if
Today
it's
was
the last
well.
day,
Generally, you get a grace period.
Okay.
They're not going to really at midnight say no, but I got it in.
Yeah.
So that was what
Okay.
I was doing right
Okay.
before we went live: eating pizza, watching the Iowa game, and finishing my open enrollment.
Huh. Adulting. I know how that
Yeah.
is, man.
Trying to multitask a little bit. And I believe the
Yeah.
last episode we did end up recording was mostly the Rings of Power finale. And of course,
Yep.
talking about the Andor premiere. And the Andor finale is right around the corner. So that's how long it's been. I think Andor was like 5, 6 episodes in at that point.
Yeah. Roughly. Yeah.
Yeah, they
It's
were
been a
like
few.
towards the halfway point.
Yeah.
So Fusion, in that time, what have you been up to?
Man, just catching up on work, obviously, but kind of jumping into celebrating a World Series. The Houston Astros, my team, won their World Series. Thank you guys. Thank you for the applause. Thank you. The rest of you that hate them, whatever, don't care, hate us, whatever.
I just hate that
Uh,
my team never makes the playoffs, and or when they do, they get swept.
and you had a World Series champ playing shortstop for you, man. What can I say?
Well, that's what happens
I
when you never invest in pitching of all the fucking things.
Yeah, yeah. Here's the thing about the Twins. They're not big spenders, but they do spend. So they are kind of like the Oakland A's, but with a little bit better payroll and much better facilities than the Oakland
Yeah,
A's,
Target Field
obviously.
is awesome.
It's a beautiful field. Don't get me wrong. But you know what? Celebrating that, catching up on some old stuff, a few more Star Trek. The other thing is that I've recently gone back and watched like some old stuff. I mean, earlier this year, old stuff. Cobra Kai. We're watching that again, and a few other things. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it here in a little bit. But jumping into Batman the Animated Series this week, due to big Kevin Conroy passing away. We'll talk about that. And then Andor, really like the show Wakanda Forever. My wife did the coolest thing. She bought me a season pass to the Alamo Drafthouse. You know that I'm a big Alamo Drafthouse honk, and I've been going probably like once a week in the past. Since the beginning of earlier this year when I felt like it was safer to start going back to the theater. And my wife was just like, "Why don't you have a season pass?" I'm like, "I don't think the Drafthouse does it. AMC is one of those mega chains do it. I don't think the Drafthouse does." Well, last week she was like, she looked online and said, they have an annual pass that's out right now. Like there's a specific window and you have to be a rewards member. She bought it for me. So cool. $20 a month. I get to watch one free movie a day, I think that's actually cool, and so yeah, I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna break it out for the first time on Sunday to go watch The Menu. I'm told it's a really good movie. The Nicholas Hoult and Anna, what's her name? Anna Joy Taylor. I think
Taylor Joy, I think.
Anna Taylor Joy. Oh, Joy
Maybe.
Taylor. Yeah.
One of those three. It's the three
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm gonna go watch that, and I'm told it's a really good movie, so I'm gonna go watch that this weekend. So you get to break it out. But yeah, man, that's what I've been doing. Playing more Scum. Hoping to jump into Warzone 2 that comes out this week. So I'm gonna play a little bit of that. But that's really what I've been up to, man. How about you?
Uh, for me, much like you, I've watched Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Yep.
Another movie, that comic book movie, was Black Adam that came out in our break from
Oh yeah,
recording.
Black Adam. I forgot since we've been gone. Black Adam as well. A couple
Yeah,
weeks ago.
that was certainly a movie.
Yep.
I've been rewatching Battlestar Galactica. I busted out
I
the
know you
Blu-rays. I was feeling it. I found the soundtrack on Spotify, and I was like, you know what? I need to rewatch this. And so I've been dabbling between that and my Deep Space Nine rewatch. I love that old sci-fi stuff. It's so good. Battlestar Galactica was the shit. That was fantastic sci-fi.
Yep.
So I still think The Expanse is the best sci-fi show I've ever watched, bar none. But Battlestar's in that running for the number 2 spot
Is
for sure.
Battlestar Galactica the best show that Sci-Fi Network ever put out?
Well, that depends. Do you count The Expanse? Because that's where it started.
It started there, but
They ran out of money to fund it.
yeah, Battlestar Galactica's entire run was on
I
Sci-Fi,
would
though.
honestly put as a series because of how well it stuck the landing for me. 12 Monkeys on the just above it.
Okay, okay,
Battlestar Galactica, it was almost kind of like the inverse. It took just a little bit for 12 Monkeys to get going. Then once they found they're like, oh no, we're gonna work in all the 12 Monkeys lore instead of this. Like season one was this weird bastardization of two different shows that got merged into one and somehow worked. And then once they found their lore and really started honing in on it, it became one of the best shows on television that nobody watched. Also, James Callis is in it too for like 4 episodes. But Battlestar had the opposite where it started super, super strong, and then the end was like, ooh man, you would have been great if you knew exactly how you were going to end when you started it. Like it kind of didn't go out with a whimper because it was still good, but it
yeah,
didn't land as strong as the start. Whereas 12 Monkeys was the opposite. It finished
okay,
so goddamn hard
all right,
that I'd probably put that number two, at least the best sci-fi one ever. And then also like, where do you put Stargate? Because technically that was a sci-fi show for a little bit.
yeah, that was.
And that was a series that had 2 spinoffs, several movies. So like, you kind of have to put that somewhere.
Didn't the final 2 seasons of Sliders also air on Sci-Fi?
That sounds right.
I think like the first two were on Fox, and then the final two were on
Yeah.
Sci-Fi.
Plus you got
They've had some good shows that have basically worked through Sci-Fi at some point.
yeah. Plus you got the the OG, kind of like hokey schlock like Eureka and Warehouse 13. They're still
Yeah,
quite good series, just nowhere near like the prestige television level that we're
yeah,
talking about. But
yeah.
there's a lot of good stuff there.
Okay,
Gaming wise, God of War Ragnarok.
of course.
It has its hooks in me, dude. I'm on. This is my fourth night in a row of streaming, and since I can't play Warzone due to the servers being crappy, probably gonna play more God of War Ragnarok on stream. Probably gonna play more tomorrow night. Probably gonna play more Friday night, and I'm probably gonna finish it up this weekend with like a 10-hour stream if I have to.
Is it a 10 out of a 10 game?
So far,
Okay,
I think at the start, 2018's has been better
okay,
because it's more focused. Like it's not, hey, we're going to the end of the world. It's that's where 2018's would get to. Now we're picking up from there. Some time has passed. We still don't know exactly how much, but it's like it's a little more kind of in multiple different directions. But now I'm at the point where pieces are starting to come back together,
okay.
and it's freaking great. I love it. Really, really
I want to
enjoying it.
play it, man, but I don't want to play it on my PS4 because I don't have a PS5, and I want to capture the 4K experience of playing of the Ragnarok. I don't want to just. I can just play it on the PlayStation 4 and not have the 4K.
Yeah. And now I'm gonna replay it on the play on my up here because I'm streaming. I can pass through 4K, but I can't actually have the PlayStation set to 4K to actually get it to stream because there's no point to stream 4K. You
Yeah,
can't.
obviously.
Nobody can
Yeah,
watch that, and my upload bandwidth would be like maxed out almost
yeah,
because like it just is not super well supported if you're not a Twitch partner. So really no point for it. But so I'm probably gonna replay it on my TV, chill on the couch and watch that. Play that. But I'm loving it so far. Another thing I'm loving is Andor.
yes, yes.
Damn, was today's episode good, and barely anything happened, but it was so fucking good.
The last 3 episodes have been phenomenal. Have been phenomenal.
Yeah, I cannot wait for the finale. I can't believe it's already next week, and they're gonna drop a banger trailer for the Ahsoka show
Oh yeah.
or a Mandalorian season 3, which we got the teaser, we got that teaser, but we haven't got a full trailer. And I believe Mandalorian's the next show, and Ahsoka is after that.
So are we getting Mando early 23 and then
That's what I
Ahsoka
thought.
like in the
I thought they
spring?
said was like February.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so then we'll do the summer show will be Ahsoka.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, I'm in. Let's go because they found their Ezra, and they already had the rest of the cast. So I'm like, let's go. I'm excited
Yeah.
about that show very, very much, and I'm hoping we get a cameo of her in Andor because it would fit in the timeline and take the show to another level. But that's for a later topic. We should probably start. Wait, did you want to talk about the game you wanted to talk about first?
No, I was just gonna talk about no, 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 no. What game are you talking about?
Among Us VR.
Oh, yeah. You told me
Yeah,
totally
you
forgot about
told me to
that.
tell you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for reminding me. So, man, it came out what about a week ago on the 10th, I think, and I haven't caught up much with it. I saw a commercial for people playing a VR version of it, on like an Oculus commercial, and I didn't think nothing of it. Like, oh, that looks interesting. I wonder if it's legit, like if the graphics look really like that. Well, someone was streaming on TikTok last night, and I was posting in your in Warburg's Discord channel under the video game section. Guys, you got to go watch this. Like, it's incredible, and the tasks are like they keep the tasks, but they've modified them to fit in the VR space. The comms are awesome, but like overall, like I could just see myself losing my fucking mind being inside this game, like playing matches because the stress level is high because you like through virtual space you almost have a tangible like approach to the game. It changes it tremendously because I'm watching the guy and like you're breathing heavy because when you're running around you're wondering if someone's behind you and you can't stop all the time to look if someone's behind you because you're trying to get your tasks done. So um you don't
So it
have
has
the
a first
ability
person
of
perspective.
Yes, first
Oh
person
damn.
perspective. Yes, first person perspective. So like you have to like turn around and look, but if you look up, you see your map. So it's got a cool functionality. Like the UI is really cool. But yes, so if you're walking, you could hear somebody. Like I'm watching the match, and he hears people coming behind him, and the guy's like, oh. He finishes his tasks and turn around, and there's no one there. You know, like and seeing people come through the vents is pretty fucking awesome too, because like the vent opens up and people somebody just jumps in and grabs it, or they fall straight out of it. So like they've done a really good job with the VR version of Among Us, but I don't know, man. I may have to spend what $400 for the Oculus 2 this Christmas. That'll probably be my Christmas gift to myself because it'll play on PC, you know.
Yeah.
But like I know Steam has a system. I'm not paying $900 for
Yeah,
a VR
that's
set.
nuts.
I'm not doing that, but I need to see if the Oculus 2 can play. Thankfully, I looked at the layout for Among Us VR, and it's got a really low setting. Like you only all you need is a GTX like 970. Like that's nothing. You know, that's it's. I think it's a very playable because you know the game. It's the original game is very light on the system. It doesn't drag you down at all. So, um, we'll see how the server load goes because it looks like just with the colors and everything, it looks very intensive. But man, I don't know, man. If I know we have a bit of like a regular Among Us crew, but if some of those folks want to jump on and get an Oculus this winter, man, I'm all for trying it out. It looks incredible. I don't know if you've watched the video or
I'll have
not
to
or
check
the
it out.
TikTok, but like there was a guy playing it last night, and I know a few folks are streaming it on Twitch, but when you watch it, you're like, oh shit, like yeah, I could see myself breaking in a sweat, trying to like freak out and stress out about doing this, like because it just you're so immersed in it. Yeah, from the first person perspective. Yeah, so yeah, I'm all for it, man. I think I want to jump on. I think that's probably where I'm going to go next with my gaming is to jump on that.
Okay. All right. So we should probably get to our big topic of the day,
Let's
which
do
is our
it.
thoughts on Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which is of course the
Yep.
latest movie from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, already doing gangbusters at the blockbuster box office because of course it is.
Yep.
Right? It's it's follow up to one of the most successful MCU movies ever, the wake of Chadwick Boseman's passing, and now it's getting you know rave reviews to Fusion. What did you think of Wakanda Forever?
I'm going to give it a solid 8.5/9 out of 10, man. I from start to finish, this movie is emotionally charged. Obvious for obvious reasons. We knew Chadwick Boseman's passing, as well as just story of it has been announced, guys. So this isn't a spoiler here, but T'Challa's passing in the movie, in the storyline
Hmm.
in the MCU. We knew it was going to be emotionally charged, but I wasn't prepared for it as I was because from start to finish, this movie is just emotionally charged, and like the theater was quiet every time there's a very emotional moment in the film. The theater was dead quiet, and I don't think I've ever been in a theater like that where people are basically holding their breath. Um, the funny parts are awesome. Winston Duke as M'Baku, amazing. Like he's just amazing in it. Um, I really like the story where they went and where they're going next. They really laid some groundwork for the future of Wakanda, the future of this like of the Black Panther series. They really set it up nice. And you and I have both have given her shit, Letitia Wright, for kind of the whole vaccine, the COVID stuff, and holding production and all that down. I'm gonna be honest with you, Warburg. She held her own in this film. She kicked so much ass as like an emotional leader in this film, and I know it wasn't easy for her because she and Boseman had gotten close, and the entire cast was tight, and so Angela Bassett was just phenomenal in this as well. Like I just cannot praise the actors enough. And I forget his name. It's is it Turok is it
I
Turok Herrera?
I I couldn't tell you,
Turok
unfortunately.
Herrera. Turok Herrera. He plays Namor. If you haven't seen it yet, guys, the trailers give it away, but just based on style. But I really like the spin of making him Mesoamerican. I really think that they did an awesome job of that, like kind of retelling the Namor story, but taking this new spin of making him Mesoamerican because it was talked about at the Draft House because they did social commentary, like they show clips and stuff before every film. Well, they had this social commentary about Wakanda Forever and the Black Panther saga and just the Wakanda and all that stuff. But then one of the producers like did like a 5 minute piece where he talked about the approach, and he was like, hey, I'm sure people were gonna give backlash because we have a Latin type of character in Namor, but here's the reality: is that no one ever established he's a white guy in the comics. If you hear, he does talk about the land people. He says, I'm going to take over the white man's country, or I like, so maybe he's just light skinned because he's from the ocean. We don't know, but he obviously isn't like a Caucasian man, right? It just that's the coloring may be for there may be another story that we just never really touched upon. But obviously they took that kind of idea from the comic and they said, what if we take that and make it a little different? Like what if it's not what we perceive as Atlantis is a little bit different, and here's the story and here's the universe we created. And I thought that was awesome. I really appreciated it. Like the first Black Panther movie was a boost for the African American community to have this black hero that all the kids can look up to, right? And I think I really liked what they did with kind of taking that Mesoamerican approach to Namor. He also did a phenomenal job in this movie. He's not an anti-hero; he's the villain of the film, but he really held his own with the original cast. But I really liked it. When you have three full acts that you can dedicate your craft to, like Ryan Coogler did this time, I thought he did a phenomenal job. The third act of the battle, people are going to complain about, oh, this is two films. I like this third battle. I thought it was simplified and it had a point, very political, obviously. But I enjoyed this movie, man. I really did. I think it's to me, when you consider all three acts, it's a better film than the first Black Panther film because that third act in that first film had a lot to be desired. And I think as great as the first two acts of that film were, it doesn't carry the film to be better than Wakanda Forever. I think that this one it does slightly vault it, like not like completely like leaps and bounds. It's slightly vault over as the better of the two films, in my opinion. So yeah.
Okay. My
How about you?
thoughts are more on the 7.5, 8 range
Okay.
because I don't think anything in this movie eclipsed the first one.
Okay.
And I think part of that is it's kind of, and it almost by necessity has to be all over the place because grief is really, really messy. Like there's no
Hmm.
clear cut, hey, this is exactly how you grieve and move on, with your
Yep.
life. And a
Yep.
lot of the major characters in this movie are going through that process. So almost by necessity, it is messy. But there are certain things that probably could have carried the message better and not made it so all over the place. Like for me, number one, like I really like Namor, or is it Namor or Namor?
Namor.
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 I like him. The actor did a great job, but like it's the same thing as Killmonger. Oh, oppressor becomes the oppressed becomes the oppressor. Like it's the same villain arc. Like there's nothing different. Like obviously, he's what Killmonger was a Wakandan citizen and all that, but like his message was, I'm going to take over the world because we're the only ones that can, which is exactly what Namor's doing. Like it's the same thing, just with a different Black Panther. So I that really didn't vibe with me as well. I didn't mind the whole like, and to go with spoilers here because we're 20 some minutes into this podcast, uh, killing Angela Bassett's character. Didn't mind that because obviously we're going to see her again at some point. It's the MCU, it's comic books, flashbacks happen. But like where they ended up taking Wakanda in the acts 1 and 2 was basically unnecessary because you didn't have to have this plot with Riri Williams. You could have had Wakanda be helping the UN find more vibranium for the rest of the world, which is what Boseman, T'Challa's Black Panther was trying to do. Open up Wakanda, help the world. You could have had them helping the UN and inadvertently draw them into the conflict with Namor. Because it didn't have to be this random Riri Williams, and then you're also looping in, you know, Ross in like the CIA part. Like that didn't have to be there, and you still could have gotten Namor to the same point in his antagonistic role without like half an hour of movie. And I think that would have helped tighten things up and really bring on the emotional arcs better. But at the same time, you do kind of you need to introduce new characters. So like I don't begrudge them that, but to me it just felt unnecessary. So that was just
Okay.
where I came down on it as a whole. I really thought uh Nakia should have had way more to do. Like
Yeah.
she just kind of shows up and helps rescue someone and then is a cheerleader. Just like, nah, she's fucking awesome. Like she's fantastic. Like she didn't have any scenes with like M'Baku. That's crazy. What are you doing? Her and Winston Duke have incredible chemistry. Put them on screen together. What is going on? Yeah, like
What is her? Is it Warbird? Warbird? No, what's Warbird is
she's a war
an
dog.
alien. War Dog. War Dog.
Yeah,
Okay,
she's
because
a spy
Warbird is
basically.
Warbird's the alien from the X Men. But yeah, War Dog. But yeah, she's yeah the spy. But um, yeah, I can understand that. I can understand. Now I will say this: I did think the Ironheart plot was unnecessary.
Yeah,
There was no need for that
because it felt
at
like,
all.
well, isn't she getting an origin show? Like,
Yeah.
why is she getting her origin here? This seems unnecessary and doesn't need to be here.
Well, it makes sense now why Armor Wars went from being a TV show to being a movie because I think the movie now is going to 100% be led by War Machine. Don Cheadle's going to lead that movie. Whereas I think if it was the show, it would have been spread out
Well,
with
didn't
telling
they
the origin
film it
story.
though? Like, isn't
No,
it
they
done?
haven't filmed it.
No,
No, it's
I saw behind the scenes. Well, with oh no, Ironheart is a show, is it not?
Ironheart is going to be a show. Okay.
That's what I mean. Like, she's
Yes.
getting a show.
Yes, she's getting a show, but originally, if you remember, 3 years ago or even 4 years ago, when Endgame came out 3 years ago, after Endgame, they stated that Armor Wars is going to be the
Yeah,
next like
because
metal
that's why he
suit
had that
saga.
cameo in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier, yes, yes. And so I guess after they decided, I guess maybe Coogler decided I wanted to introduce her just because we have a like the majority of the cast is African American. Let's bring her. It'd be a great place for her to be introed into the universe, which I can understand that, but I'm not. If I had to say there was something that dragged it down, it didn't really drag it down for me, but I just thought, yeah,
It
this
just for
isn't
me, it just
necessary.
spread out the good parts too much. Like it diluted what was there.
Yeah,
Because now we're all of a sudden taking 10 minutes to go meet her and catch up with Ross and oh hey, there's director Fontaine again, right? Like
yeah,
and they kept popping up and it's like we don't need this. This is entirely unnecessary. You don't need this. Like cuz the path Wakanda was on after the first movie plus, saving the world, it's been 6 years, all that. Like having them actually opened up their country and helped lead the world in the wake of the blip would have been, I think, a better place and more natural based on where they were when
yeah.
Black Panther 1 rolled credits. So to me, there was a weird, like, wait, why is Wakanda acting like this on the world stage? That's weird because that's not where we were. But now we're here. Okay, let's go. And then you throw in the weird side segues with Riri and Ross. It's like, oh, I guess we're waiting to get back to what we want to watch. Cool. So that's
Okay,
where I'm at the
so
7.5 range. She's not bad. Don't get me wrong. Nothing was bad.
yeah.
It was all well acted,
Um,
well directed, like well shot. It's just, didn't really vibe with me that much.
Okay. So Ramonda becoming the queen again, um, after T'Challa passed, we get a year jump, all that stuff. Maybe, like you said, there's no real way to process grief in any style, whether it be in real life or in storytelling, right? Um, it did feel like the anger, like their internal mourning was kind of turned and became kind of frustration with on the world stage, right? Obviously with the queen, right? And then it became more and more. Where I think it made just hear me out, and I'm sure you were like, but wait, T'Challa was ready to help take part in the world, like bring Wakanda to the world and help do things right, because his cousin wanted to do things the wrong way, right? And that opened up T'Challa's eyes. Would have it changed your opinion if we had found out that T'Challa died from sickness from something related towards the battle, the final battle of Endgame, like something there, like an alien infection or something. But then, of course, you say, okay, but then if he was infected, who else got infected? All that stuff,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, that opens up too many. That's a Pandora's box.
Yeah, I think that the fact that they kept it very vague on what he died from, because if I if I'm doing my timeline in my head pretty quick here, his death was what, a year or two after, a year after the battle, right? Or a
Well,
couple
she
years.
said they left at one point when the Queen sees Nakia. She says 6 years, which implies that she left right after the blip,
Yep,
Nakia, and that
yep,
it had been a year since the blip was undone.
yep.
So it has been 6 years since the end of Infinity War.
So it's 2024 essentially, because
Ye-
2023 is when Endgame takes place at the end.
Yeah, it's 2024.
Okay, okay. So he died not long. So he was sick, or he died not long
Or he
after.
came on that suddenly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, which you would think that, for me, I think that they kept. I understand why they really couldn't. It would really put them in a box to kind of say whatever it was tied into the final battle and Endgame. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, I think that would kind of, because remember, she says, this war has taken everyone from me, right? Obviously, I'm talking about the world stage fight that Wakanda is a part of. She lost her husband, in Civil War. She lost her son because of whatever happened in Endgame, and that for me would be like, okay, then I can understand her anger. I That's probably the other thing, is like just her, like, Ramonda's anger towards the world, other than the fact that they offered to help, they didn't help because of what happened with, the blip and all that stuff. But then all of a sudden, here comes other countries trying to steal their tech, and
Yeah.
that angered her more than anything. So, yeah, I get it. There's no real way to. This is a grief-stricken movie.
Yeah,
Let's
like
be
there's
frank
like
about
I'm
it.
not
Yeah,
like saying what vibes for someone maybe should all survive for everybody. Like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
I just certain things hit differently for me than other people, and that's fine.
yeah. Like Thor X Goofy when he talks about his grief, right? Same
Yeah.
thing with Loki. They talk because they're different. They live for thousands of years. Like their concept of life and death may be vastly different from what humans perceive. So, um, I think the what is her name? Julie Louise Dreyfus's character, the head of
Fontaine.
Fontaine. Her being the big reveal that she was married to Everett Ross, I thought that was kind of dumb. Like, I
Again,
think we're
another one of
going.
those like, oh, that had to be included.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
we're okay. We're connecting they were putting people together way too close. It's like,
Yeah, it didn't have
she
to
could
be there
work. Yeah, no,
because he's not
she didn't
that.
even
And is
she
he
didn't
that
really need to
integral
be
of a
there.
character?
No, I didn't really. He could have had a cameo or
Yeah,
something.
like
That would have
if you
been
don't
fine with.
have
Yeah,
Riri, you don't need him. You know what I mean?
that's
Like
true.
there was so much connected to including that as part of the main story. Like that didn't need to be there for the main message to be about, with to focus on Shuri and how her taking on the mantle and dealing with her brother's death. Like so many other things that happened didn't need to be there to still get to that moment where she decides to spare his life.
Yeah,
You know? And again, they didn't do anything with Nakia, and I was like, oh, she should have been the Black Panther because number one, she knows how to actually fight. Like,
yeah.
have we ever seen Shuri training on anything?
Not that I was aware of.
I mean, she probably did, but still, we don't know that. 'Cause, I
Yeah,
mean, if you're that smart and you spend that much time in a lab, how much time do you actually have for martial arts?
yeah.
Like there's only so many hours in a day, even if you have vibranium tech. Like, I, just this weird incongruence, that to me that it doesn't quite vibe with me in terms of makes sense in the world that she would be the Black Panther.
I would have been. I really wanted M'Baku to become the next Black
Oh, that'd
Panther
have been
because
great. But
I think he
yeah.
just hit the character. Like, I could see him and his personality mixing very well with other MCU
And then what
characters.
about the end with they're like, hey, I present you to
Okay,
the princess. I'm like, wait,
so that
is he
I
now
wanted
the
to.
ruler?
That's what I wanted to ask you. I was going to ask you that, like, because he challenged her, but she's nowhere to be found. So does he by de facto become the king of Wakanda
And is
because
she cool with that because she doesn't want to rule? That
she
would have
doesn't
been
want that?
cool. That'd have been
Yeah, yeah,
fine.
yeah,
A little more explicitness would have been great
yeah.
because now we're going into this, Wakanda alone on the world stage, and we have a little bit like no idea what's going on. But that's kind of the state of Phase 4 with the MCU.
Well, you also have to remember now. Technically, Wakanda is quietly subplotting with another like nation of like potential superpowers that can become terrorists, right? Like they just like her approach is we get to keep them in check. His approach is we're going to hold them hostage so they have to support us. And it makes you wonder what's next for, for Namor and his people. But um like I said, there's some things talking about the long-term picture of the MCU with these characters that does create a bit of a problem for me. But that said, the movie itself I thought was a really good film. I thought so. The fact that I got three actually quality produced acts out of this film, I
Yeah,
was
there's
much
no,
happier.
hey, where is everyone in the third act like this one?
Yeah.
There's no, like, there was, don't get me wrong, tons of CGI, but like, no, hey, we're going to completely replace two of the most compelling actors of our time with CGI dummies. Like,
Yeah.
that didn't happen in this, right? So that it gets extra points for that. It's just for me, nothing eclipses the first two acts of that first movie.
Okay, and that's fair. Like for me, I thought, okay, the first two acts were a great film, like a great film. Then the third act, just the bottom fell out because he was strong armed by Disney to get,
Well, yeah, the
ready
first
to
one had
wrap
that
this
kind of
up.
like cool factor to it, like the heist scene with Claw and Killmonger. Like, there's
Yeah.
nothing like that in this movie,
Okay, that's
you
fair.
know. Like, and it just again, it's just a preference thing. I think nothing
I
in
thought it
this
was,
movie's bad, but just
I
a
thought it was
preference.
cool for them to bring back Killmonger
Don't
in
get me
the,
wrong, I really liked that,
yeah,
and it was just obviously because of what happened with Bozeman. Obviously, it is an inherently different type of movie, you know.
yeah.
Like, it's just something that they had to deal with. They couldn't just not deal with it. So, and for
Well,
me,
and here's the thing: we officially have now confirmed we have mutants in the MCU. We kind
yes,
of
that is a big one.
we've
Well, the
tiptoed
second
around
time,
it.
because you got it with Kamala.
Well, that was it was kind of a joke. It was stepping aside around it. Like,
Well, he said
oh,
the
there's
word,
yeah, but he said there's some strange maybe like mutation,
and then
like
we got the
okay,
theme.
and we get the theme, which is cool. But then what was the other time? Another recent one. I forget. I'm forgetting the number two. There was a second
Obviously,
one.
we saw him in Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange, I think.
Yeah, we
No,
saw
the word.
Xavier.
Okay, yeah, okay. And then here he's just flat out saying,
I'm a mutant. Yeah.
I'm a mutant." It's like, okay, now we've officially established I'm a mutant. Mutants do exist. Mutants have existed for a long time because he's hundreds of years old at this point.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, where do you go from here, particularly with Namor, because he's a very powerful being. He's as strong as Hulk and Thor, but he is wiser, especially given the Earth, like
Well, I should say
existing on
maybe
Earth.
more focused, I suppose, than wise.
Okay, okay, more focused.
Like, he's got a specific agenda.
Yeah, which is the character in the comics. He feels like he is. He values himself highly, much higher than most mutants, and very much higher than normal human beings, Homo
Yeah.
sapiens. So,
Like, he's
where
bought
do
into
you?
the
Yeah,
talk of him being a god.
yeah. Now he's not as arrogant as the comic book character, which I kind of like that. He's a little more humble because of his beginnings.
Yeah, but he's got
Um,
that edge when he just flips on a switch, and
yeah.
then he is that character.
But we've also established he's a little bit more vulnerable in that he has to keep going back into the water to keep his strength,
Yeah.
which I thought was an interesting kind of thing to put it. But
Kind of
I
pulled an
get it.
Aquaman.
Yeah, they had to do something because they had to show a weakness for him to be able to lose, quote unquote, lose to the Black Panther in the final fight. But I think that's going to be an interesting kind of concept going forward with him, right? But where do you go next with him? Where would you put him next?
I don't know. I'll give that some thought because I got to take a break and go to
Okay,
the restroom.
okay.
But I'll be right back.
We'll be right back after these messages.
Okay, so I'm back now. I edited around my break. So the question was, where do we see them going next? Um,
Yes.
I don't know. Like, are we talking Black Panther 3? Are we talking just me big picture MCU?
You can't have Namor. You can't introduce Namor. You can't introduce Namor the mutant and then not have him part of anything involving the X-Men at all, right?
Obviously, if they're doing
Fantastic Four?
they're doing not Battle World, not Secret Invasion. Secret War.
Secret Wars.
They're doing
Secret
that, so
Wars.
obviously he's going to be involved in that.
Yep.
But like, I don't know, because obviously it's going to be a while until they do the next something else with the Black Panther franchise,
Yep.
unless they want to turn something around quickly and it's a cameo or extended scene in another franchise movie. But I don't know, which kind of sucks because I want more Winston Duke. The guy's awesome. He needs to be in more stuff.
Yep.
Like I want to see him actually like in an Avengers movie or something, just yucking it up. That'd be awesome. And
Yeah,
not just
we
the
got
little
him
bit.
we got him briefly in both
Yeah,
Endgame
and
and
both of them like
Infinity
extremely,
War.
extremely briefly, and I'm like, man, I just want him more in more stuff. I need
Yeah.
him and Wong just like getting just chilling, you know?
We got way more Okoye in Infinity War and Endgame than I thought we were gonna get. I thought we would get more M'Baku, but
Yeah. And
we got a
I
ton of
didn't even
Okoye.
mention Okoye in this movie. Her arc was really good too in terms of the
Yeah.
leading the Dora Milaje, and then getting stripped of her rank and still coming back to fight at the end. I really appreciated that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one.
I think I don't see Coogler coming back for a third one just because I'm sure this one was physically exhausting for him,
Yeah,
very emotionally exhausting for him because they were laying the groundwork for what they were going to do, an incredible sequel. And then, you know, Chadwick passed away in 2020, early 2020. And I think, yeah, I guarantee, and then, COVID slowed it down. And then there were so many false starts with production for this movie. And I can imagine just being into that writer's room, having to talk about, we've got to start from scratch now that Chadwick's gone. What are we going to do, and how are we going to do it? I thought that I'm going to say, man, they did an admirable job because, like we said at the very beginning, it's about mourning. This picture is about grief, and not only as fans we had to grieve, not only do the friends and family of everyone involved around Chadwick's life have to grieve, but then you have to have the characters because T'Challa was such an important part of the MCU. Not just in Wakanda, but I'm talking about the big picture of the MCU because he had managed to become close to Steve Rogers. He had managed to be, with to the Avengers and all in just a short period of time. He had to have that connection with them. So, I think like whatever film comes next, they may be a passing comment about T'Challa, and I think if I remember correctly, Coogler stated this takes place around the time of the current movies, right? I think he said that.
which one?
Wakanda Forever it takes place right around Doctor Strange
Yeah,
and No Way Home, right?
roughly. Yeah, 'cause it's been
Yeah.
No Way
Okay.
Home yet. It had been I don't know if it had been a full year since the events of Endgame, but it had been a while.
Yeah, because Far From Home was just a couple months
Yeah,
after Endgame, and then that same school year ended, and that's when No Way Home happened.
yeah,
Okay. Oh man, he's just trying to keep track of this stuff,
yeah. It
man.
gets crazy because they did the 5-year time jump in the middle of time jumps that were already going on between movies. It's like,
Yeah.
damn, kind of head spinning. But
I enjoyed it, man. I will
yeah,
say I
don't
enjoyed
get me wrong.
Wakanda Forever.
I had a really fun time watching the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just didn't quite hit me as well as the first one. But
Okay.
that's just different
Yeah.
strokes for different folks. So I think thinking let's move on to something that vibes with both of us. I think really, really well.
Sure.
Let's talk about Andor, which is I
Yes.
think pound for pound the best live action Star Wars like property since Rogue One, and it's
Mhm.
no mistake that this is the prequel to that movie because both have been amazing.
Yep.
We're through 11 episodes. The finale's next week. We'll probably do a finale episode for episode 55 just to talk about the Andor finale. But man, Fusion, this show kicks so much ass.
It's ramping at a very good pace, but it's so captivating. But it's not like there's a lot of threads going on
No,
and so much
it's
action.
prestige television in Star Wars.
Yep. Yep.
Like that's the best way to describe it because so many scenes are just two people talking. Like, and that's prestige television. Like that's just people like characters interacting and just taking their time in their scenes and not rushing to the next action sequence. Like Star Wars is just it's slow, methodical, and like just epic in the best ways. And I fucking love it.
Someone told me it feels like in a galaxy far, far away, you sprinkle on Downton Abbey with the West Wing, and you can kind of get the vibe of this show. Like just because like you said, every scene there's, I mean, most scenes it's just just dialogue back and forth, but it pulls you in, you know. And then when there are action moments, they're not so over the top, they're not so outlandish, but they're effective and they pull you in even further. And I think Diego Luna is phenomenal at this role because he kind of his face doesn't convey a lot of emotions except in his eyes. You
Yeah,
can
you can
see
just
like,
tell, oh, this dude wants to burn things,
yeah,
like right now.
exactly. But there's just so many things I have questions for because like her name Velsartha, the is she
Cousin,
Mothma's sister or cousin?
cousin. But
Cousin.
it
Okay.
felt like a sisterly relationship.
Yeah. And then Luthen Rael, obviously Stellan Skarsgård's character, there's gonna have to be something big there, you know, based on this last episode. But like, holy shit, man, the the prison. What was I forget the name of the planet? Something five, right?
Yeah, some
Starts
with
with
an
an
N.
N.
Is it
When he got sent to the prison at the end of that episode, I'm like, oh, this is kind of crappy. But I found myself captivated. The three prison episodes. Like I was like, holy shit! Like that first one, it would
Narkina?
move Narkina 5. Um, it happened. It moved along very slowly, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not a real big fan of this." But then we get much more Kino Loy in the last two prison episodes, and I was like, "Holy fuck!" Andy Serkis was phenomenal in this movie, in his role for 4 episodes, 3 or 4 episodes. He was phenomenal, man, like phenomenal. I need more Kino Loy. I need
And we
more.
didn't see him die.
We did not see him die. He said, "I can't swim." Left him at the prison. That's it. We don't know much more of what's going to happen with him. I want to see more of him. Doesn't have to be this season. Could be in next season. Obviously, they're going to be laying the foundation of building fully building out the Rebel Alliance, leading to Rogue One. I I'm in, man. I am in. Like the aesthetics are phenomenal. Like the CGI, it hits right when it needs to hit. You posted the GIF of Luthen
The
Rael's
the
ship.
the spinning laser pulling the
It's
Iron
the,
Man.
that was fucking
It
awesome.
was
Like just
so rad. It goes.
yeah,
It just he's like countermeasures ready, and then it just ramps up on a dime of like throwing out all the debris, and it fucks up the tractor beam, and he just takes off. 2 minute dogfight, even less than that probably. Done out hyperspace,
yep,
and it was awesome.
yep.
Damn, it was so cool.
It
Like
was
this
like a
show just
45 second
so
shot.
fast,
Yeah,
and it was just like it was just amazing. It was just like, oh man, this is what we have wanted to see. Basic like the that third act of Rogue One where it's just epic action scene after epic action scene. It's
yeah,
like that, but you spread it out. Like here's one of those scenes in one episode. Totally fine with it because the characters are all compelling. The dialogue's great. It's shot. It's just gorgeous to look at. It
yes,
is
yes, it
so
is.
well done. All the
Yeah,
CGI, all the practical effects. It is just 10 out of 10 every time. They don't
yeah.
miss, and they haven't at all. The only quibble I have is that they're showing free episodes over Thanksgiving, but stopping at episode 2. Episode 3, there's a damn good reason they dropped 1,
Yeah,
2, and 3 at the same time. What are
yep,
you doing? It's got to be a
yep.
timing thing with TV. Maybe they can only go for an hour and they're going to stretch it out with commercials. But I mean, the third episode is the hook.
Where are they airing it on ABC?
It's got to be because that's their
That's
football network.
Disney's.
So
That's the Disney flagship.
yeah, that's their
There's
network
ABC.
television. So like, it's got to be ABC.
Oh
And I think
man,
they're releasing it free on a couple different platforms too. I think it's going to be. Was it on? What did they say? Hulu maybe?
maybe because that
Something
is
like that.
their
It's going to be on a
platform.
couple their other streaming platforms or in spaces. So I'm like, yeah, they really, I think they should have also included episode 3. That's the only misstep so far. Because
Yeah,
I love this show. It's
yeah.
incredible. Can't wait for the finale. It's going to be so kick ass.
Are
Like I
we getting
mentioned,
cake? Go ahead. Go
like I
ahead. Sorry.
mentioned
Go
God
ahead.
of
Finish.
War. Now I'm at the point in the Ragnarok where all the pieces are coming back together. And it feels like, oh, here we go. That's where we're at with Andor right now.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
all converging back on where we started in Ferrix. And it feels like it's about to, shit's about to hit the fan in the best way. I can't wait.
I think any big reveals you, I mean, or big shocking things that you want to throw out there for the finale.
I mean, obviously, there's going to have to be some deaths.
Yep.
Obviously, we know Andor lives because
Yep.
he's in the movie.
Yep.
And Mon Mothma does too.
Yep. And Saul Guerrera and
Yeah. I'm wondering if this is the episode where he gets fucked up though,
Where
because
Saul
obviously
gets
he
messed
gets
up. Yeah.
really fucked up between now and Rogue One.
Yep.
So that's probably either the finale or next season, because we're gonna have to see that. And I imagine he's just more of a character we'll see in season 2, as Andor is more officially part of the Rebel Alliance, or will become the Rebel Alliance.
Yep.
So, because I can't remember, did they establish that he knew Saw in Rogue One? Was
He
there
does know
implied
who he is.
histories there?
I think he does know who he is. I don't know if he
Yeah.
has a
So there's
deep
some kind
connection
of
to him.
connection there.
Yeah.
So they'll need to actually meet and interact.
Which
But
means maybe Luthen survives
I think
and
that Cinta, the spy that's on Ferrix,
yep.
I think she's gonna die. I think
Yeah,
she's gonna
I
try
think
to
so too.
kill Cassian, and then Val is gonna save him because she realizes maybe she hears what happened to the prison and that Andor broke out,
Yep.
and is like, oh, he could be a symbol for the rebellion, like, and then
Yeah.
saves him. And because obviously they're setting up those two are lovers, Cinta and Val,
Yeah.
and they're torn apart through the alliance and what they have to sacrifice. So I have a feeling something's going to give there narratively. It's going to come down to how Andor fits into that picture. But I'm curious how they're going to go with where does this leave the Rebel Alliance, because we don't get Mon Mothma stepping fully into the fore as the leader outside of Rebels. Like that's when that moment happens.
Yeah.
Happens on the Bridge of the Ghost. So it can't happen in this show, which sucks because it'd have been incredible to see in live action. And you can't uncanonize Rebels because you're diving off of it with the Ahsoka series. So we won't get that moment with her, which kind of sucks. Because just imagine how hype that scene would be of her, announcing to the galaxy that, we're forming a Rebel Alliance to restore the Republic. That'd been, it was that cool in Rebels. It'd be so much
Yeah.
even cooler in Andor. But it already happened,
Well,
so.
well, you could maybe you get the broadcast, a live version of the broadcast.
Yeah, possible. Yeah,
I
we
mean,
could,
maybe
like,
that's what
somebody could
happened.
see it from the
They
other
could be
side.
watching, like at the end of this season, or maybe at the end of next season to wrap up the show.
That is a good point.
That we
That could be
get
the
that
wrap up.
broadcast. Yep, yep, yep. Because all of next season, I think obviously we're setting up that she's probably going to have to go into hiding and leave her family, right?
Yeah,
That's
she's gonna
like
have to go either on the
yeah.
run or. Oh, we haven't seen Organa yet. Jesus
Nope.
Christ!
Nope.
So he's
Nope.
probably gonna. Is he gonna be the season 1 finale reveal? I thought it might be Ahsoka, but then I was like, oh shit, we haven't seen him, and he's
No,
very clearly involved.
I think it's Bail Organa. I think so. I think so. Like obviously, it's been mentioned that Jimmy Smith is going to be returning for this show for this show. So
Yeah,
I think that's probably the big reveal. Like, yeah. Here's the other thing: is I think Luthen Rayo is going to be in a deep shit, and I think what turns Vel Sartha to her opinion of Cassian Andor is he saves Luthen. Like whatever mess he's in, he goes and he saves him. And then Luthen's like, "This is what I'm telling you about. There's something special about this guy." And Vel's like, "Okay, we have to have him part. He has to be part of this of our part of our rebellion. Like he has to be a part of it." But you're right. I do think this would be a good time to show what the fuck happened to Saul, because in Rogue One he's just like a mess. He's like
yeah, he's
a
like the
fucking mess.
anti-Vader in terms of like he's more
Yeah.
machine than man.
He's not a very well put together Tin Man. Let's be
No,
frank, you know.
yeah,
So we got to. I mean, we have to show what happened to him at some point. Let's. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a big Saul Guerrero fan. I just don't really like the character too much. I think it kind of. I think just it drags down
it
that
works in
side of it.
bits because
Very
he's a
small bits.
one-note character.
Yeah. And we got way too much of him in Rogue One. I thought we had way too much of him, and it really slowed
Well, we
him
got too much of
down.
him without proper setup.
Yeah.
Like there
Yeah.
wasn't time to sit in why is he so paranoid? Because unless you watched Clone Wars, you didn't care.
Yeah.
Like unless you played Rogue One, not Rogue One, Fallen Order, where he's in, or watched Rebels, where he's in, you didn't get it.
Are they saying Fallen Order is canon
Yeah,
or no?
as far as I know, that's canon.
Fallen Order is canon. Okay. Okay. All right. I never really thought about if that was canon or not. Yeah. Okay. Well, we can explain what happened to him. The other big thing is Ruth Scott, the other guy that got the other prisoner that broke out with him with Cassian.
Well, that's
He
Melchi. He's in
what's
Rogue
that?
One. That's Melchi. He's in
Yeah,
Rogue One.
Melchi. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. He's in Rogue One. So are we not going to see him until season 2? That's fine. It's okay, but we've established that they have a connection, and it's I think like there's pieces coming together for Cassian, and I think that's the big thing. Um, maybe the big reveal is that he meets K2SO at the end of this season.
Could see it.
We're obviously going to get it because it's what a 5 year gap between the show ending and Rogue One, right? Like five
I
years.
don't think it's 5. I don't remember how long before.
They're not going to walk it right up to Rogue One unless they do
No,
time
because that was
skips.
like days before episode 4.
Yeah,
So it's not going to be that. It'll be a bit of a jump.
yeah, okay.
But I
Because
could
then
see
you
them
would make
dovetail it to
yeah.
the end of Rebels, and Rebels ended 2 years before the Battle of Yavin.
Okay, there you go. Okay,
So I can see them dovetail it into that.
so he has to spend some time bonding with K2SO. He just cannot just like, oh, I had him for worked with him for a few months or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to get that story. Maybe it's an actual episode of next season. I don't know, but maybe this season ends with he finds the he meets the droid and the droid gets wiped and he decides to do something about it, or take it in because the droid helps him at the end or something. Like I think we may get that cameo at the end of it this season. I think K2SO is probably gonna be the big one. That we get to see this season. But I all I gotta say, man, is this has been phenomenal. Like everything I was expecting from the Book of Boba Fett to push the Star Wars universe forward, didn't get it. Did not get much out of Obi-Wan. We're getting a lot about
Well,
pushing the
the
universe.
finale of Obi-Wan was dope as fuck, though.
No, no, no. It was
That was
fucking
awesome.
dope.
But the
The
series
final
as a
fight was
whole was not as what this is.
it didn't push the Star Wars momentum forward at all.
Yeah.
You know,
Which
this
sucks
is
because
pushing
this
things
is a
forward.
show that's so much better and apparently not getting anywhere near the amount of views.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering how much is it a case of diminishing returns, putting out stuff people don't like?
Well, that and I really think we have a big fatigue, man. We do, we
Yeah.
do have a big Star Wars fatigue, and their goal is to keep pushing something. They want a Star Wars product out every year, whether it be a movie or a TV show, and I think it's wearing
I
people
think it needs
down.
to sit because like say we didn't have Star Wars for like 2 years and this hit. You'd be
Yeah,
like, "Holy shit, give it like give it all the awards. It's incredible."
yeah,
Like it would be the goddamn show. Especially in a time right now where like Better Call Saul is gone, done. Like this is the prestige television show right now. It's got no other competition on streamers. Stranger Things was earlier, Ted Lasso's later, you know,
Yellowstone.
but that's not on like in terms of the same audience. It's not the same audience.
No, it's not. It's not.
Yellowstone is old people that stream stuff. Like that's what it is. It's just like
I want that on a
Are
T-shirt.
you the NCIS crew, and you know how to run a streaming? You can use a remote to get to a streaming website. Cool. Watch Yellowstone. That's
I
what that
want
show
that on a
is.
T-shirt. Yellowstone is for old people that know how to stream. I want that on a T-shirt.
I will clip
I
that
want
out
that.
just for you.
I want that on a T-shirt. Um, I think we're hitting a fatigue because, and don't be shocked if the numbers for the next season of Mando are lower than what they have been, just
Well, I
because
think that
there
gets
may
the
be.
bump because it's got Baby Yoda. Like they
That's
have
true.
Grogu. Like it's gonna get the bump. And Mandalorians are
See,
fucking rad. They are
as much as
cool.
people want, to give Lucas shit for wanting to put
Sometimes it works.
kid centric characters in his products, it fucking works, man. It does. It
And
works.
a lot of
It,
those themes like are it's just family. Like that kind of relationship is extremely relatable, right? It's for
yeah,
everyone. Whereas like this is basically Andor is like the Americans in Star
yeah,
Wars. I'm like
yeah,
that's not for everybody, man. Like that is
yeah,
for a specific kind of nerd, which I love.
yeah.
But it's not. I don't know if it's gonna hit that super wide audience because
Mando does.
and Mando does.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of show.
Oh
Whereas like
man.
Mando is kind of at least maybe season 3 will be different, but it was had that Western vibe. This does not have that. This is a fucking like spy drama, like not like enemy behind the lines kind of drama. Like it is a different kind of show. I love it. It's so good.
Yeah.
Can't wait for the finale.
I'm in the same boat as you. I say this is a solid 9 out of 10 TV show for me, and I see people complaining, and I think those people are just there's a lot of fatigue
I
after.
don't get what Chris's problem is. Like this show fucking rules, dude.
Yeah, what is his complaint? Is it Is it just Rise of
See, I
Skywalker
honestly think it's
fatigue
like
or what?
the opposite of his Ragnarok complaints. He's like, "Oh, it's like
Too
plotting,"
slow, too
and I'm like,
serious.
"What? What? I don't understand it."
So,
Ah,
so Chris, I'm assuming Chris wants his lightsabers, Jedi's, and Sith and Skywalkers in
I
every
mean, don't get me wrong. I
character.
would take no Jedi and have just Donnie Yen show up. That'd be
That's
dope.
true.
But he
Yeah.
can't in canon. He can't yet.
Not yet. No.
'Cause his character was fantastic. And oh my god, Donnie Yen.
Wait, hold on. No, we could get him, but he doesn't necessarily have to be attached to
That's true. Because
Cassian Andor.
that's true. That's very true. But also, he's gonna be in John Wick 4. And oh my god, I totally
Oh
forgot about that until the
man,
trailer. And holy shit, I'm so hyped for that movie.
hell yeah!
Donnie Yen versus Keanu Reeves. Oh my goodness, that movie's gonna be awesome. Oh, I cannot
I like how they
wait.
just went back to chapter 4. They're not
Yeah.
calling it anything like what was it Parabellum? Is what they
Yeah,
call
they
it
gave it a
3.
name. Yeah.
Nope,
No,
it's
no,
chapter 4.
nope. God, that's
Man, like seriously, this I think you've hit the nail on the head. This isn't for everyone. This isn't a Star Wars show for everyone. For geeks like us, we love this because it's the Star Wars universe without all of the lightsabers, the Sith and the Jedi and the Skywalkers. It's a bigger picture of there is a galaxy that operates and functions behind all of that. And we get to see we
yeah,
get
we're
to
getting into the bureaucracy of the
yes, the
ISB and
bureaucracy, all of
all
the
that.
politics. We've touched on we've danced around politics in the prequels, a little bit in the other shows here and there. This isn't dancing. You are getting step by step, blow by blow of what the
Yeah, we're
politics and what
talking about banking regulation, and
the
it's just incredible.
the
It
autocracy, the
yeah
dictatorship. Like I think that episode, the final episode, where the end of that episode where he goes on the run and he gets caught in the middle of a fucking legal dispute and gets thrown into prison right after that.
yeah
Like just like that whole thing is like that makes you hate the empire even more.
yeah,
Like
and then
oh fuck
more
these
slice
people.
of life stuff with the universe. We get more culture with Mon Mothma's people and finding out about
Yeah.
their old traditions versus the
Yep.
new, and it's all this little subtle backdrop that doesn't really matter that
No.
much, but it tells you more about this character, that they're a living person and they're living in this world, and how they view themselves, within it. And it is so engaging
Yep.
in a way
We
that
get
most Star Wars stories have not been.
we've got so caught up with the supernatural aspect of Star Wars, that we really didn't think about the fact that, people forget that there are so
Yeah,
many
like this
moving
is more of
parts
a
to the
science
galaxy.
fiction kind of thing versus a
Yep.
science fantasy,
Yeah.
and
I
it's
agree.
awesome.
I agree.
It's
It's
just
been
been
a
an
fun ride, man. It's been a very fun ride. I can't wait for the finale next week, and I really am excited to see where they go next because we both said they've said you're getting 24 episodes, you're getting two seasons, and that's it.
Yep, they
And
clearly have a plan. They know where they're
yep,
going, and
yep,
I'm hella in. Let's
yep.
go.
Yes, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Speaking of let's going, let's move on to our last thing. What do you say,
Okay,
Fusion?
let's do this.
So what we're gonna do here for our last segment
All right, let me open
is
this
we
up.
are gonna talk all about. We're gonna run through maybe, from what I've heard, the worst Marvel films ranking of all time. Which, to be clear, we're not talking MCU just by itself. We're talking all of Marvel. I
Okay.
think there's movies back into the 80s here. I think I haven't
Yep.
looked at the list, but that would be my guess because Marvel
You
films
need you
have
need to
been.
warn the listening audience. This is the Hollywood Reporter, so this isn't exactly a go-to
Yeah,
source for
I'm not.
geekdom.
I'm not exactly pulling up CBR or anything like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like this is Hollywood Reporter. But I want to shout out the kind of funny subreddit, and they were like, the guys need to do a live react to that, and I saw that and I looked at the link and I'm like, I'm not gonna spoil myself at work. I'm gonna I'm gonna remember this. I'm gonna come back to it. So here we go. Let me
Okay.
change over to the reaction cam.
All right.
I built this out. There we
We
go.
wanted to start from top to bottom.
How did they? Okay, so they're going reverse order, 70-1.
Okay. Let's just scroll
So
through. I'll scroll
before we
through with
go,
you.
what do you think is the best? Like, what do you
I'm
think
gonna
they're going to
s-
rank one?
I'm gonna say number one's going to be Wolverine.
I'm going to say
That's my
Logan,
okay. Logan. Okay. That's okay.
but we're on the
I
same track, I think, with the same
yeah.
character. And
The
the
same.
Wolverine unrated cut is damn close to Logan
Oh,
for me.
that's a good
It's
movie.
I can't believe they made that a PG-13 movie. It
Yeah.
was very clearly supposed to be an
So
R-rated movie, but
as we go through this list, how about this? We're not going to list them all 70 on this podcast, on this audio podcast or video, by the way, if you're watching. But I think as we scroll through, how about you and I just point out like what the hell these like the
Yeah, because there's
rankings
some
that
movies
mess.
we're probably never gonna we haven't watched.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
We'll talk about ones that are shocking. Like, for instance, to start the list, 2005, Man Thing.
Man thing.
What the
Okay.
was this a thing?
Yes, this was a thing.
Was this a
Not a
direct
very
to
good movie.
Blu-ray or direct to DVD movie?
It was a direct to video show. Yeah. I mean a movie.
Yeah,
Yes.
because this was even after Spider-Man 3.
Yep. Horrible production on this. Much better Man thing we got was in the Werewolf
Werewolf by
by
Night,
Night.
which I still need to watch.
You gotta
There's too
watch it,
much
man.
stuff to watch, dude.
It's 45 minutes. It's
Fuck it.
45 minutes. It's a lunch
Remind
break,
me.
man.
I got
Lunch
so
break.
much God of War to play.
I know,
Ugh.
but when you're at work on your lunch break, just watch it real quick.
But I was
In the
watching
break
Lower
room.
Decks. Okay, I'll do it
Okay.
now. Lower Decks
Okay.
is done. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway,
All right. So I'm not shocked with this one. Okay, whatever.
we
70
got the
Man thing.
1990,
Captain America.
which was a
Okay.
Yugoslavian film. Didn't know that.
Yeah. Howard the Duck. I was a fan of it as a kid, but it did not hold up
Oh,
well.
it is so bad.
As an adult, you watch it, you're like, holy cow. Okay, Fantastic Four.
Fan
Yeah.
Four Stick. Fan Four Stick at 67.
And this was horrible because they get their powers and they skip forward a year, right? It's like
Yeah,
a year.
it's just
Just
you skip all the
stupid.
fun parts of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah. Oh God. Electra. Yeah. Okay. 66. All right.
Yeah,
Fantastic Four.
another Fantastic Four. This
Okay.
was the one that they made so cheap and so fast just to fuck them over and keep the rights.
Remember,
Right.
this was a Roger Corman movie too.
Yeah,
They specifically wanted it to look cheap because of bringing in Roger Corman.
yeah.
I'm gonna say that 2005 Fantastic Four should be a little higher because it wasn't a
I mean,
bad
15.
movie. Yeah,
No,
the
15 was a
two,
terrible movie. It was awful. It was
no,
Suicide Squad level bad.
I'm talking about number
Oh, you're talking the
64 on
Fox
the list.
movie, like the
The
OG
first
Fox.
movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the.
I thought it was.
Here we go.
I thought it
And
was
there.
an
Oh,
okay
that's why you're skipping ahead of me.
movie. Yeah.
But
Sorry.
yeah, I mean, number one, it's got Chris Evans by itself, so that vaults it to the best Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah.
Just by that. Now
He
we
was a
got
hilarious Johnny Storm. Yeah.
the Dolph Lundgren Punisher.
Yeah.
I'd even
Okay.
I'd vibe with an old man Punisher with Dolph Lundgren. I'd get behind
That would
that.
be cool. That would be cool. That would be cool.
Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance. I
Oh,
still
that
remember
was
IGN giving this a 4 out of 5. I was like, I was so just disappointed when I saw this movie
this was hot garbage. Oh God.
with some decent ideas, but just
No, no, no.
bullshit execution.
If let's put it like this, if this had been an MCU Spirit of
Yeah, because they
Vengeance,
like leaned into the whole like the origin of the Ghost Rider. That was cool shit, and they did
Yep.
nothing with it.
Yep. 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 Yep.
Surprise of the Silver Surfer.
Horrible movie. Horrible
So bad.
movie. Okay, Ghost Rider. I kind of liked it
For
except for the fact that
2007, it still shocks me that was only a year before
Year
Iron Man.
before Iron
It
Man.
feels like 10 years before. I mean,
We did
it
get
was just a
Nick-
different era of filmmaking.
we did get some awesome CGI Nick Cage abs, by the way.
That is
I
true.
mean, we had to have him all ripped for this, but yeah, whatever. 03 Daredevil, the director's cut isn't bad. It
Yeah.
gives more backstory to everyone, including Daredevil, which I was okay with. Punisher
know.
Warzone.
And then
whatever.
the Punisher.
The Punisher. Whatever. I'm okay with that. Blade Trinity wasn't a good movie.
No.
No, just awful.
Last
Last Stand,
Stand.
X-Men. Oh man.
Oh, they put Origins Wolverine ahead of Last Stand. I'd go the opposite. Because at least the Last Stand has like legit actors kicking, like doing cool things. Like,
Yeah, they really fucked Wade Wilson in Origins. Yeah, I think you're right there. I think Origins
Morbius ahead of Last Stand. That is a take.
that's pretty bad right
How
there.
that
Hollywood
isn't like
Reporter.
70 or 69, I don't know.
It's Morbin time. That's what they love. And it's
It's
right below
one
Blade.
behind Blade. Are you
Blade is 52.
are you high?
Blade was a fucking great movie, man.
I mean, it's got one of the greatest comic book lines of all time with the some motherfuckers always trying to ice skate uphill. I know that shit, like, I know that entire scene by memory, and I haven't seen that movie in 15 years. Like,
Hold on.
what a great
This
movie.
for most of the film, the CGI holds up actually pretty
Yeah,
well.
for the time. Like, it was one of
Yeah.
those weird ones where they're like, oh, they actually kind of nailed it.
Yep.
You know, like the
Yep.
great casting, you know, with Wesley Snipes. Like, man, they.
Oh God, don't
It-
scroll down to 51. You're gonna lose your mind. Why Blade is lower than this one?
It's lower than Spider-Man 3.
3. Yeah. Hold on. It's lower than number 50. Holy shit.
I didn't really like the New Mutants.
Wasn't an
Honestly, New
awful movie, but
Mutants should have been a series. New
yes.
Mutants is akin to what DC was doing with like Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
Like that's what it should have been.
But they focused way too heavily on the horror side of it.
Yeah.
Way too heavy.
And if you're gonna do that, I think that would have worked better as a series, as a
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
so each character could get a focus episode.
Yeah,
Right? It'd
because
work better.
we didn't get a whole
Oh
lot of
my god, 49. It just gets
oh
worse.
lord,
Dark
like
Phoenix
uh, oh, you know what just
better
occurred to
than
me?
Blade.
But you know by proxy what's better than Dark Phoenix now, according to these folks? Apocalypse.
Apocalypse does have some redeeming scenes though. Dark Phoenix does not.
Oscar Isaac was phenomenal, even though his suit looked like
Like
ass.
the fight where Magneto betrays Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Just that shit was so dope.
Okay.
It had
Okay.
no right being that good at the end when
Dark
he
World,
drop the X
Dark
beams.
World needs to be a lot lower on this list. I'll be quite honest with
What do
you.
you
At
mean lower is in a
48,
lower number?
yeah, no, a higher number, as in on the bottom of the list.
That's where I quibble because it's a competently made movie. It's
Okay,
just
okay,
boring as fuck.
okay.
Like some of these movies are legit dog shit movies.
But it's not as bad as, I mean, it's better. It's not as good as Blade, right?
That's where the MCU is different than so many other franchises because even the bad movies are competent movies.
Oh, they're getting brave here at 47.
The
Oh my.
the actually I liked Garfield's movies.
I like the first one. I liked the first one. I thought Electro in the second
I
one
think they
wasn't
fucked
great.
up the villains in the second one,
Yeah,
but like the
yeah.
relationship with Gwen Stacy and stuff was just top notch in ASM2.
I thought also how they just squeezed in the fact that he had a childhood friendship with Norman
Yeah, that
Osborn
was
in the second one.
so retcon
That was
BS.
that was really crappy. Like, oh, you just disappeared all of a sudden. Where'd you go? To boarding
Venom
school?
at
Venom. Okay.
46.
Apparently, people like that one. I thought it was
Like
an
it's
okay
got
film.
that charm of just like going for it.
Okay.
Like they're not trying to make a prestige movie here,
Yeah.
but they're still giving it money so it looks decent. Like it's got that kind of it like better than it should be vibe
Sure.
that a lot of movies don't get.
I have a feeling we're about to see a lot more MCU movies now.
Iron
This
Man
list.
3. Iron Man
Oh
3 is the
boy.
second MCU movie on this list. Once again,
At
who made
45,
this
by the way.
list at 45?
Does this mean that Iron
Too
Man
many
2 is
villains.
ranked higher?
It's got one villain with a twist. Like, get your head around a fucking twist, people. What is your problem? Number one is Ben Kingsley, and then it turns out he's not the bad guy. He's been
Nope.
acting the whole time, and
Yep.
turns into one of the best characters in the MCU that's still around.
Well, he's coming back for what show is he coming back for?
Oh my god,
there-
it's upcoming too. Like it's not that far
Yep.
away.
Yep. I
Oh my
forget
god,
what
what
show he's gonna
show
be
is
on.
this?
Let's think this
Is
through.
he gonna
He's
be?
not going to be.
Is he gonna be in the invasion show?
No, I think it's more.
It's the one after that one, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I can't.
But it's coming up, and he's
Yeah.
a great character. Like
Yes.
even if you don't vibe with the twist,
Mm-hmm.
before the twist, he was so compelling.
Are you kidding me? 44? Really?
That
Really?
I watched half of Let There Be Carnage and I turned it off.
44 is the sequel to Venom. Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
100%
And
flip those around.
that one was like this got like like not even like a. It didn't even break the 20s
It was bad.
on Rotten Tomato. It was horrible. And yeah.
Oh, 43.
Ooh boy.
Oh my lord.
They're asking for an ass whooping with 43. Is Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which is
Let
a
alone
really good movie.
Yondu's death.
Yeah.
Top 10 in the MCU. Like that's so borderline. Like where did we end up ranking it? It was top 15.
Top 15 for sure. Like I know Guardians, the first Guardians was higher, but because that was a
And it was
top
like it was very
5.
much like flip a coin on a given day which one's better.
Yep. Yep.
Like at 43, are
Oh
you
boy.
how out there are you as a person?
Oh my lord, there it is. There
There's
it
a
is.
poc
It's worse. They ranked X-Men Apocalypse better than Iron Man 3, better than Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
and Hulk
But
2003 at 41.
oh my god, Ang Lee's Hulk. I mean, I got to read this. Okay, I have to read this to see the reasoning. God, how he wanted to like a Hulk film by Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragons, Ang Lee. And there were bright spots. like Lee's cheeky use of moving split screens to recall the irregular panels of a print comic. But no, those Hulk dogs were absurd, the script problematic, and Eric Banner's Bruce Banner compares poorly with those who followed him. But why are you making it better? Oh, Lord.
And then the Incredible Hulk right after.
Right after that.
Those two couldn't be further apart on the spectrum.
Yep.
Again, goes back to the MCU. Even the Incredible Hulk and Thor 2, competently well-made movies, and the only one I would say is not a well-made movie, and it's not the director's fault, it's Marvel's fault, like the head office's fault.
Okay.
The Eternals is the only bad movie.
Okay.
Because it
That's
had
a
no
fair.
business being a movie. It was
Nope.
not a story you could tell in 2 hours.
Nope.
And the
Should have
director
been a
was hamstrung
series.
from the very beginning she signed the contract. Like,
Yep.
don't fault her at all for that. Which means
Uh,
that means the Eternals is higher on this list than that, and I'm just.
This is phenomenally bad. 39 is Black Widow. Okay.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not top shelf MCU, but again, it's a very well made action spy movie.
Yeah.
Like, and these people are crazy. Blade
I think
2,
Black Widow gets a lot of shit just because
I think
it was
it
6
gets
years too
dinged for
late.
being too late, but it's still not a
Yeah.
bad movie.
It's not. It's not. Blade 2 at number 38. Okay.
See
I'm okay.
that number when I hear of the 70 films they've made, Blade 2 is 38. I'm like,
Hovers
I
around the
can feel
midway
it.
point.
I can
Okay.
feel it. You know, because it feels on that level of kind of close to the first X-Men.
Yeah.
You know, like that's kind of where I would think, because you're counting most of the MCU ahead of it, of course. I
Yeah.
would have assumed. But
It's not 14. It's not 14 spots better than the first Blade film, though.
no, nowhere near.
Not at all.
We get another X-Men movie, one that I think should be higher.
I liked First Class.
First Class. It was an extremely slick X-Men movie. You know, 60s theme, great cast, like kind of a soft reboot. Nailed what they were going for. Of course, they didn't later follow up with great films, but I mean, that
Well,
movie.
hold on. Days of Future Past was a pretty good movie. Second film.
No, don't get me wrong. Like it was there, but like where they would later go with that canon of the X-Men was just kind of petered out.
And it really blew up. It screwed up the timeline starting this in the 60s.
Yeah, it got
like,
so.
I get why
Which is
they wanted
halfway
it in that
why
period.
Logan's such a miracle.
Yeah.
Oh, 36.
36 is
Avengers Endgame again. Has this person watched movies?
Wow.
Like 100%. This has to be someone just reading the Wikipedias.
Oh man.
Thor better than Endgame?
No. Oh my lord. 34 is going to.
There's the Eternals better than Endgame? One of the greatest, at least number one, the most successful movies of all time.
Yep.
Eternals. Motherfucking Eternals?
Oh, this is killing me. Okay.
Spider-Man Homecoming, again, should be higher.
A little bit higher, yeah. A little bit higher. It's a fun film. Oh my lord, 32 is Love and Thunder?
Love and Thunder.
What?
Well, again, Love and Thunder is one of the worst MCU movies.
But they're saying it's better than the first Thor film.
Which I don't think it is. And I think, again, it comes down to focus and vision of like what you were going for. And I think Thor won.
They're getting brazen here. Infinity
War is 31. I knew what spoiled me on this list for the Kind of Funny subreddit. The only one that got spoiled for me was Endgame. I didn't know Infinity War was 31. That's some bullshit.
They're saying the first 2 X-Men movies have to be on this list, obviously, are better than Infinity War. Infinity War is one of the top 5 or 6.
I mean, it's up there with Empire Strikes Back in terms of like pop culture nerddom.
Yep.
Like, what are we doing here? It's up there with Wrath of Khan.
This is crazy. 31?
30 is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Okay.
The
and
Wolverine.
I know you don't like 20 number 29. I know you weren't a big fan. I liked the Wolverine.
I even enjoy the PG-13 cut. Okay. I just think the unrated cut is a vastly superior movie.
I think we both have talked about this. We both agree the Silver Samurai subplot was just stupid. That was probably the dumbest part of the film.
But other than that, right up to that point, you're like, oh, I'm vibing with this. I'm liking this. And then they shit all over it at the end. But almost kind of the Black Panther issue where we're like, oh, I'm vibing with what they're going with. And then
28, really? Oh,
God. I mean, I could see Iron Man 3 in this spot.
Yeah.
But that would assume Iron Man 2 is in the 40s. Not the other way around.
Yep.
Days of Future Past. Okay, that feels right in the 20s. Like,
Yeah.
that's not
Okay.
bad because it was a really well done X-Men movie.
Okay.
Great team up moments, great mutant subplot, with the whole going back in time thing. Really, really good stuff. But The Amazing Spider-Man is no way better than Days of Future Past.
Not at all. It's not better than Homecoming,
No,
the
no
MCU
way.
Spider-Man.
No way. 25 Thor Ragnarok?
Ooh, that's pretty low.
That's damn low.
Oh shit, they're getting serious at 24 too.
Spider-Man No Way Home.
I said it's like number 2 of my
I'd
MCU
put
list.
easily top 5. I think universally top 10 at least Marvel Cinematic Universe movies.
Wow, these guys have no idea. 23, Doctor Strange in
And
the
then more like
Multiverse
the
of Madness.
multiverse of midness. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, Ragnarok and No Way Home are much better movies than
Oh,
Doctor Strange 2.
significantly so. Far From Home. All right, we're getting kind of
Yeah,
back on track.
okay.
Not the worst spot
22.
I've seen it.
Okay.
Deadpool. Hey, Deadpool. 2016 Deadpool fucking just rips, dude. That is just
Yeah.
a kick ass hour
Yeah.
45 minute, laugh a minute movie. Love that
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
That it is. They have Deadpool 2 higher than this. That's insane.
This
That is so
this is
backwards.
yeah.
Deadpool 1 is so much better of a movie. And I
Yep.
like Deadpool 2. Deadpool is so much more. Again, I think it comes down to sometimes constraint helps movie making and
Okay.
that kind of creative vision. There needs to be a balance between constraint and the end product and like creative freedom. Deadpool 2 is like exact like, hey, constraint matters. Low budget sometimes helps. Deadpool 2 was too big and a worse movie for it. Oh my! And there's Deadpool 2 at 20. Oh my god! At the very least, flip those around.
Yeah.
Ugh, Guardians of the Galaxy 19. All right, I think now we're getting to the point where we're probably gonna be okay. I can vibe with some of these.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm okay with this at 19.
Yeah,
When you think about, remember, there are it's not just MCU related films. Okay, I can understand that. 18's Captain America, the first Avenger. Okay, all right. I get what, but I kind of know based off of the numbers that what's gonna jump into this list that's non MCU specific, and I can maybe argue against it, but I maybe should be a little higher, probably like 14 or 15, maybe. I don't know.
yeah.
Oh, they're getting brave with 17. Are they really
I mean, don't
going?
get me wrong. Beer Hero 6, really well done
Yeah,
movie. Like,
yeah.
absolutely no complaints for that being higher on as high on the list as it is. It is a well done movie. Age of Ultron
They're clowning us, man. 16, really? Age of
at
Ultron.
16,
Above Endgame and Infinity War, Age of Ultron.
bonkers. Just truly bonkers, man.
Oh, they're getting, yeah,
Ant Man
15,
and the
Ant-Man and
Wasp.
Wasp.
It was
Oh,
a fun movie. Walton Goggins was great. Michael Pena, always awesome. What are we doing with that at 15?
yeah.
Civil War
Civil War.
14. That should be a top 10, easy.
Yep, yep.
Spider-Verse,
Okay.
again, that is one of the greatest animated movies of all time. Why is this at 13? What are we doing?
Oh, no. Logan at 12.
Logan didn't crack the top 10 best Marvel movie?
Well, they couldn't do that because at 11 you have Ant-Man. So I like Ant-Man, but it's not a top 10,
No.
11 film
No
at
way.
all. Logan should be top 10.
Logan
Logan
is
has to be top 10.
Logan is a way better movie than most of these movies that are going to be
Yeah.
coming up. You're like Doctor Strange at 10.
I like Doctor Strange a lot, but it's not a top 10 movie. No.
Logan is behind the 2000 X-Men at 9.
Have you watched this movie lately? It did not
It
age
does
well.
not. No. X2 holds up a little better.
Yes. Yeah. The first X-Men film did not hold up. And that's number 8. Let's go with that one. I think these
Captain
guys are
Marvel?
Bune honks. Yeah.
What?
Captain Marvel at number 7.
I mean, I like Clark Gregg as much as the next guy, but him coming back to the MCU is not worth number 7.
No. No.
And I like Brie Larson. She's awesome. I think for the next movie we're going to see her in, it's going to be great because they know what the heck they're doing with the character now.
Yep.
She was done a horrible disservice with this movie.
Yep. Number 6 is Raimi's first Spider-Man film. I'm okay with it being top 10.
It definitely helped usher in a new era of comic book movies.
Yeah. Yep.
Even more than
It
Blade.
showed that you were able to take chances with
Blade was
Marvel
that kind of
movies.
hard R, edgier, not hard R, but it was a different tone. It was a horror, vibe to it. It had the vampires and the supernatural. whereas this was more traditional Silver Age comic book,
Yep.
and it helped usher in that new era.
And it was very Silver Age, the
Yeah.
story in this first film.
Winter Soldier
God.
makes sense at 5, but only if other
Mm,
things had been higher on the list. Like this, I don't know. For me, it definitely. What's ahead of it?
uh,
The first Iron
um,
Man absolutely holds up. You could make the argument it's a top 10 MCU movie. It
yep,
is the perfect origin story movie
yep,
with
yep,
a kick-ass soundtrack.
yep. Great. It was a great way to kick things off. It still is. When you go back and watch it, you're like, yeah, this really started everything. It's a perfect fit. They really did a lot of love for Black Panther in this.
Yeah, Black Panther is 3.
As number
That means
three.
they gotta have. Oh, it's pre Wakanda Forever. Okay.
Yes, yes,
Spider-Man 2 at 2. Black Panther was 3.
yeah.
And the first Avengers at number 1. Oh,
Oh man. See, I'm still like, if I'm looking at, I'm going to take their top six. I mean, top five. The Winter Soldier's still number one.
yeah. If you just look
With
at that top
with
5.
okay, so if I have to look at, if I'm just taking their top five and shuffling it, it's Winter Soldier number one, Iron Man number two,
I think keep Black Panther
Spider
where it
Man,
is for me.
Spider Man number no, yeah, Spider Man. No, I'm gonna say Spider Man number three and Black Panther number four.
Okay, well, I'm gonna quibble with you there, but
Okay, and Avengers five.
yeah.
Okay, because I think Spider Man two is a phenomenal superhero film.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. You couldn't pick a bad movie out of that 5,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
still.
I think the first Black Panther should be at five for me.
All right, I
Yeah,
can see that.
or Avengers. You could I say maybe Black Panther's four, Avengers five, because as much as I like that first Avengers film, I think that Iron Man and the Winter Soldier were phenomenally better films.
Fair enough. Oh, what a just brutal list.
This is horrible, just horrible. The fact that we get Captain Marvel at number seven, let alone a
That's
top
just
10.
egregious.
And then where was Eternals again? Like at 20-ish, they were
Yeah, it was ahead of some major successful movies.
and the fact that Age of Ultron is above both Endgame and Infinity War, and not just that, they were in the 30s, and then Age of Ultron 16.
Yeah, Eternals was ahead of Endgame. Like, oh,
This is like, yeah, there's just I don't think they really understand how to. And Deadpool should probably have been top 15, not 21. Like maybe even top 10 movies, because I think
I
that
thought it
first
was.
Deadpool.
Yeah, it was 21, 21 and 20.
I think
First
that
Deadpool was
first
amazing.
amazing movie. Like it came off of a viral video, and Ryan Reynolds said, "We're not just going to do a Deadpool movie just to do it." He's like, "We're going to really do this right."
Yeah.
And they did. They did. Like every single element of the Deadpool character in the comics that made it so work so well, they put that in the movies in this first film, and it nailed it. It did.
Also,
So
hey
yeah, man.
Chris, you got here right at the end. At least I don't know how long you've been here. Sorry, I have all my stuff oriented to the right. We are live on Twitch.tv/MrWartburg for anybody that wants to partake of our chat and let us know what they think when we go through topics like this. I just want to
Yeah.
shout out hey to Chris, who's one of our regular viewers. But
Yeah.
man, that was a terrible list.
I'm gonna have to go like take like an anxiety pill or something, because this is brutal, man. Like this
Yeah,
is gonna I'm not gonna be able to sleep, because it's gonna be like, well, what? Thinking about Eternals where it's at, and Blade where it's at, and
I can't believe a
it's
group
gonna
of
bother
3
me.
people came up with that list.
The fact that Captain Marvel is number seven on a list of what 70 comic book Marvel films.
Yeah, Chris, they ranked all Marvel films worst to best. Here, I'll send you the link.
Yep.
I'll
And
put it in chat.
Captain Marvel at number seven is the worst ranking I've seen. Anyone trying to make an edgelord type of list, there's no way you could justify Captain Marvel at number seven.
Nah,
No way. No
that
way.
was just that was a hard read to get through. But
Yeah.
hopefully the show has not been. So thanks everyone who's watching. If you're on the stream like Chris, I'm gonna stay live and play
Yep.
some more God of War because I can't get uh, Warzone to play for me because BattleNet servers absolutely suck. So I'm gonna take a real quick break, grab a water, maybe stretch a little bit because I've been sitting for a while. Then I'm
Yeah.
gonna come back, boot up the PlayStation, play some God of War. So stay tuned.
Awesome.
I'll be right back. Thank you, Fusion, for hanging out. We'll be back next week for episode
Yes.
55, where we're going to talk the Andor finale and anything else that comes up, pop culture news and goodness
Yep.
throughout the week. See ya. Oh, what do you got?
R.I.P. Kevin Conroy.
Oh, we didn't bring him up. That sucks. I did not expect that to hit me that hard.
Yeah, that was a gut punch, guys. It really was. But he's gonna be a legend forever. He will be Batman, the voice of Batman. So,
Yep.
R.I.P. Kevin Conroy.
Peace.